Hello, my name is Wayne Estrada, and I'd like to talk to you today about cloud technology. Now, this is all the rage today. Everybody is rushing to the cloud. And the question is this a good thing or a bad thing? Now, this might rankle a few feathers here because the cloud is something that's become very, very popular today. But in my estimation, after almost 40 years of being in the IT business, I see a lot more detriments to cloud technology than helps. Now, the helps are obvious. We can lower costs, we can have a central point of contact, a central repository for our data. We can reduce our costs by not having internal people to keep track of that data and provide data centers. Now, all those things are well known. But take a look at the downsides to the cloud, and we're going to take a look at about 7 different things that you need to consider about cloud technology. Let's take a look at number 1 first. First is that a third party is in control of your data. Now, again, this has a benefit because it can lower costs. Think, to use the analogy of, let's say, a storage area where you'd store household goods. Instead of you having to build a little shack out in your backyard, you go to a central storage location and you can store everything there. But that third party ultimately has control over that. And one brief story about that: years ago, I was moving from one side of the country to the other. I placed things in storage for a few months, and it was not a climate-controlled environment. What happened was I had some electronic equipment that got damaged because it got too hot. So having a third party, we are trusting that they are going to safeguard that data in all kinds of ways, which takes us to step number 2. Insider threats. Now, years ago, I had a ISP in Richmond, Virginia, and we had 6,000 dial-up customers, and we kept their mail. And the fact of the matter was, the mail was stored on our servers. Any of our system administrators could read that mail. When you have data that's stored in the cloud, what assurance do you have that people aren't either looking at the data or stealing the data? Now, a lot of people think that cyber attacks are important, which they are, but a lot of attacks are done through social engineering. What's to say that somebody couldn't be bribed at an organization to find out information about your corporate data? A system administrator could be compromised. So that's yet another danger when you're placing that data in a third-party hand. Let's take a look at the third step. Varying degrees of support and access. Not all cloud providers are created the same. Some of them could be excellent, some of them could be spotty in their support of getting access to your data or getting questions or things resolved. So when you're looking for a provider for the third-party data, that can also be an issue. And now on to the 4th step. We are all familiar with the terrorists whose phone was captured in Southern California, and the FBI wanted to break into it, and Apple would not cooperate with them. So this is not an indictment against Apple, but the point being is that the government can, for whatever reason, want to acquire data. Now, if that's in a central repository, what's to say that they didn't have access to all that data? Now, this is a possibility, but maybe somebody else is being investigated, but they could get access to your data as well. So is your data truly safe? And I don't want to get into a political comment here about whether we trust the government or not trust the government, but that is yet another unknown factor to consider. All right, step number 5. Cyber attacks. Keep in mind that when our data is over the cloud, the data is traveling over the internet. Now, we can use IP tunneling, we can use encryption and things like that, but as we've been seeing with the higher capabilities of supercomputers, that sometimes these types of protocols can be broken. So it is an open passageway that could be snooped upon with packet sniffing, that could grab your data and could be de-encrypted. So you're going over essentially a public thoroughfare, the internet, and you could have a private network to go to it, but it's still possible that people can break in and steal your data. Okay, step number 6. Legal liability. Let's say you have corporate information on the cloud for one of your customers, and that data center is compromised. You could be liable. So admittedly, we can keep that data in-house, but in any case, we are trusting that data to be stored and secured at a remote location by a third party. Lack of standardization. Not all cloud companies are created equal. They use different mechanisms of firewalls, different mechanisms of servers, different mechanisms of operating systems, of hiring, of firing, of vetting their employees. You don't really know, except what their marketing people tell you, what that cloud environment is really going to be like. And lastly, the unknown. The future is a blank slate at this point. We don't really know where things are going. We've seen things that have evolved that didn't exist years ago. Steve Jobs invented the tablet, and now everybody has tablets. What's the next big thing regarding the future of the internet, of storage systems, of cloud technology? And the answer is, we're going to find out. Now, one last anecdote, and that is this. On a personal note, I'm a music lover, and I have a library of 1,500 CDs. I've stored them on my own media PC. Now, I have digital rights management to all these things because I've actually copied them from CDs, but iTunes is constantly asking me if I want to upload it to the cloud. Well, it's not that I care about what Apple thinks about what music I listen to. That's not the point. The point is that that data is my data, and I have control of it in my home. If the internet goes down, I still have access to the data. Now, admittedly, I can't just listen to an MP3 in my car over the internet of Abbey Road or some other Beatles tune because it's in my iTunes library, because it's on my home PC. But the point is that I still have control over that data. And one last story. A few years ago when I was working for IBM, I lost my BlackBerry. And they sent me another BlackBerry, and amazingly, all my contact information, all my addresses, all my phone numbers were reloaded onto that BlackBerry. Well, guess what? There was a BlackBerry server that had all that information on it. And I very foolishly had put passwords and things like that on my BlackBerry, which means it's being managed in the cloud by somebody. These are all things to consider about cloud technology. And if you have any questions about technology, about Cognos training or Unix training, or just any kind of technical issues, I'd be more than happy to work with you. You can reach me at IBM Cognos Training at smarttriangles.com, or you can reach me on LinkedIn. And thank you very much for watching today.